Poor boy lost in forest notices abandoned old house. Hears baby cries from inside. Frank was out fishing with his dad when he wandered on the trail and eventually got lost. He decided to seek shelter from the pouring rain in an abandoned old house in the middle of the forest, only to hear a baby crying. What he discovers inside would impact his life later. At 14 years old, Frank enjoyed being outdoors with his father. They didn't have much in life, so they enjoyed the free things life had to offer, such as going camping, hiking, and fishing in the nearby lake in their town. Frank and his dad, James, only had each other to lean on for the past decade. His mother left them 10 years ago after wanting more out of life. She filed for divorce and married a wealthy businessman who lived just a couple of streets away from the small apartment Frank and James lived in. On one particular weekend, the father and son duo decided to go fishing. It was a lovely afternoon, with the sun shining bright but with the temperature still breezy enough for them to enjoy the day outdoors. After sitting down on his fishing chair for a couple of hours, Frank told his dad he'd walk the trail to stretch his legs before going fishing again. James agreed, as they'd been on this trail many times before. He was confident Frank wouldn't get lost. While walking around, Frank got distracted along the way and took a wrong turn. After a while, he realized he was lost and could not retrace his steps. The sun suddenly slowly disappeared from the sky and rain clouds started to appear by this time. No wonder it was so hot today. It's about to pour, he said to himself as he searched for the way back to the lake. In just a couple of minutes, the rain poured and he had nothing but a light jacket on. He noticed an abandoned old house from a distance and decided to run there to take cover. As he approached the house, he realized a crying baby was inside. Wanting to make sure the baby was all right, he opened the door. He saw a woman sitting on an old rocking chair with a crying child in her arms to his surprise. "I'm so sorry for barging in. I was looking for shelter from the rain and I noticed the house. I didn't know there'd be anyone inside," he quickly said to the woman. The woman smiled at him. "It's no problem, dear child. Please have a seat. I'm Maria, and this is my daughter Lindy," she said, motioning towards the old wooden chair in front of her. "My name is Frank. I was just going fishing with my dad, but I decided to walk the trail and ended up taking a wrong turn," he shared. "Do you live here?" he asked her. He wondered how a young child could be living in such bad condition, as the house was only lit by a lamp and the bed was on the ground with torn sheets covering it. The woman nodded. "I had no choice but to run here," Maria started, her smile suddenly disappearing from her face. "My husband kicked my child and I out of the house because he claimed he hated the noise. Our baby wouldn't stop crying, and he just had enough of it," she explained. "He didn't even try to look for you?" Frank asked, surprised. She shook her head. "My phone's right there. No one's tried to call or message, even when I walked towards a place with a signal. He's moved on without us," Maria replied. "I'm sorry to hear that," Frank said quietly, not knowing what to say. "It's all right. This was actually my grandmother's house. She enjoyed the outdoors and loved fishing like you. This was the only thing she left to me. And now, I'm grateful for it because it gave us a home." Maria felt comfortable talking to Frank, whom she thought seemed like a nice and polite boy. After a while, Frank noticed his father from the small window of the house. "Dad!" he screamed, waving at him from a distance. "Dear God, Frank, I've been looking for you." "I'm so glad you're safe," James said, embracing his son. "Dad, a woman lives in this house with her young baby. We need to take them to the city. It's not safe for them to live here with no stable source of food and water," Frank explained. James entered the house and was taken aback by how beautiful the woman was. He wondered how they ended up in the woods, and Maria shared the same thing she had told Frank a couple of minutes prior. "We've been getting by through me selling some things that I sew. I would go out to the lake where tourists would buy my handmade items," Maria admitted. "You need to be in a safer place, not just for you, but for your baby." "Dad, let's take them back home so they can live comfortably," Frank asked his dad. "I'm glad that I raised you this way, son. Thank you for having such a kind heart," James told him with a smile. "However, we're not sure that's what they want. Would you want that, Maria? It's just Frank and I at home. We have an extra room you can stay in while you settle down and start over," James offered. Maria couldn't help but feel shy, but she was desperate to move out of that dirty place she and Lindy had been living in. "I hate to admit it, but I've been afraid of what flu or virus my baby might catch out here. I would really appreciate a decent room to stay in while I looked for a job." With that, James and Frank took Maria and Lindy back home. "Our house is a simple flat," James said as soon as they entered, "but it is home," he added. "This is a lovely home," Maria said, smiling. After settling down, they enjoyed a lovely meal together where they got to know each other some more. After a couple of days, once she was more settled down, Maria took her daughter to daycare while she looked for work. She was hired in a craft store where the owners were impressed by her skills. Maria started earning well and began to contribute to the expenses at home, whether through bills or groceries. In the end, she and James fell in love, and once they were able to save up some more, they got married.